Welcome back. Lawmakers in the House of Representatives have voiced their dissatisfaction with the efforts of the National Electricity Regulatory Commission to curb the excessive electricity charges levied on customers by electricity distribution companies. Officials of the regulatory agency appeared at the investigative hearing organized by the House Ad Hoc Committee on the need to curb the excessive charges. Our correspondent Larry Lasisi reports.
The Nigerian electricity sector is one that is constantly facing challenges. Consumers allege that they've been made to pay for what they don't consume.
So at this point in time, without...
This gathering in the House of Representatives, made up of players in the industry, is to look into ways of curbing the excessive electricity charges that are allegedly being levied on consumers by distribution companies in the country. The acting chairman of the Ad Hoc Committee informed the gathering that interactive sessions were conducted in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country to hear from consumers. According to an official of the Central Bank of Nigeria, funds have been made available to the sector in a bid to help provide more electricity.
To make sure that the electricity industry becomes efficient, we also intervened by providing a payment assurance facility, and to date we have disbursed 330 billion out of a projected 701 billion.
Next to speak is the chairman of the National Electricity Regulatory Commission, but he is interrupted at a point.
And I want to put it on record. With all that NERC have said there, they have not addressed the primary issue why we are gathered here. And that's the suffering of Nigerians.
The entire commission sat many hours to address issues that will mitigate the challenges faced by this industry.
It is, however, up to the Nigerian Electricity Management Systems Agency to provide possible answers to the issue of how the new electricity meters appear to make consumers spend more on electricity.
If you have in a premises where there is no earthing, if you install a meter in the place and there is a leakage, whether you are using the load or you are not using the load in that house, basically there is a virtual load and you find out that your meter will read.
As this ad hoc committee continues work on possible solutions, another committee is also working on a bill to prohibit and criminalize estimated billing by electricity distribution companies, all in a bid to address the challenges in the electricity sector. Lanre Lasisi, Channels Television News.
Well, staying with electricity matters, the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission is educating stakeholders on the issues of regulation and how to address emerging challenges, as well as ensure that the timeline given for the provision of meters are met. They say this is also in a bid to attract investors into the metering services industry and close the metering gap in the Nigerian electricity supply chain.
Representatives of electricity distribution companies, potential investors and consumers attend the first series of conferences to promote the meter asset provider regulation.
We are here today to discuss how we can make this move this regulation forward and make sure that the timelines agreed for the procurement of meter asset providers are actually complied with, and also to make sure that all the risks that are likely to impede the achievements of the goals of the regulations are achieved.
The goal of the regulation is to provide standard rules to encourage the development of independent and competitive metering services, as well as eliminate estimated billing practices in the Nigerian electricity supply industry. There are, however, challenges that may impede these objectives. For instance, the regulation stipulates that the consumer will procure the metering infrastructure in addition to a fixed charge.
What we are consuming is a service. Everything that brings it to us is a means by which that service gets to us. So when you say I have to pay for the tool that would give me the service, then I have to pay for the service again. These are the places where your communication must be very clear, must be very explicit, and must help people understand what this fee is for.
The meter is just a means of measuring the energy you consume and what you should pay. So So if that can be provided for you in another location, you don't need to go to that your house in that street to bring it here.
And what is the way forward from this conference?
Those information and advices and contributions and problems that people have identified, we will harvest them and go back and begin to see how to ensure that the implementation process of this regulation becomes a success.
It is expected that the success of the meter assets provider regime will relieve the discos of the burden of providing metering services and enable them to focus more on their core responsibility of power distribution.
Well, that's all from Abuja. It's back to you, Ijoma.
Thanks a lot, Markwe. Everybody should go back to the farm, and that was the slogan of the early days of President Muhammadu Buhari's government. Today, that slogan is being matched with words as the Bank of Agriculture, in collaboration with the Kano State government, flags off the 2018 farming season. It was also a forum to strengthen access to agriculture finance and create a platform to diversify the economy. Okay, we apologize for that. We seem to be having some problems with it. We'll see if we can get back to it. Now, trade transaction settlement in Nigeria is now advanced as merchants can now receive value in their accounts hours after payment. The innovation and initiative of unified payment was activated today with a media launch here in Lagos.
The latest service from Unified Payment enables merchants to receive money in their accounts on hourly basis after a successful electronic transaction. This is an improvement to the existing next-day settlement system, seen as a major drawback to the success of the central bank's cashless policy.
All kinds of excuses are the payment or cash out desk. Why? Because they have been told by their boss that if you accept payment on this device, it wouldn't get to us until 1 day or 2 days time.
What UP hourly settlement service seeks to offer are that 1 hour after the transaction, the merchant or retailer or business will receive funds in their account. 2, 1 hour after the transaction, as they receive settlement, they will receive detailed settlement report that will give them the transaction details for which they have been settled.
4 commercial banks, including Access, FCMB, Diamond Bank and UBA, currently have the service pioneered on their various platforms.
The move to this online real-time settlement is something that really now matches the needs of the merchant and the needs of the other players in the financial industry.
You're buying a solution that merchants have already used, they've tested it, they've given us input, we've fine-tuned it, we've tweaked it, so you're getting the final solution that works.
Thank you very much. It's made life much easier. We don't have to wait for T+5. Even on public holidays, even on Sundays, we pay T+1 each 1 hour. Thank you very much.
The real-time solution is the brainchild of Unified Payment Services Limited, a consortium of Nigerian banks looking to accelerate electronic payments as the preferred e-payment service provider within and across Africa.
Let's take a look at some business news now. Here's Anne Waudu. We stood out story 2.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma. We begin business news tonight with a monthly meeting of the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee, which ended today without a conclusion. The Accountant General of the Federation, Mr. Ahmed Idris, says the meeting was postponed indefinitely to give time to address the issues of under-remittances of up to 100 billion naira from the month by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC, which caused a similar delay in the month of March. Meanwhile, the Director of Press at the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Hassan Dodo, assures that the meeting will reconvene before the end of this week. The Director General of the Small and Medium Development Agency, Mr. Diko Rada, is promising better support for owners of small and medium enterprises across the country. At an event to mark World MSME Day, Mr. Rada explains that although most businesses face challenges such as lack of finance, poor entrepreneurial knowledge, and basic bookkeeping, the agency will address these challenges. Everybody should go back to the farm. This was the slogan at the early days of President Muhammadu Buhari's government. Today, that slogan is being matched with words as the Bank of Agriculture, in collaboration with the Kano State government, have flagged off the 2018 farming season. It was also a forum to strengthen access to agriculture, finance, and create a platform to diversify the economy.
One of the major challenges confronting peasant farmers in Nigeria is the lack of funds. Unavailability of modern-day farming implement and expertise may be considered as secondary challenge, but also very important.
Why we are flagging off the 2018
The equities market remains bearish for the second day as sell pressure in the price of blue chip stocks pushed the month to year and date returns deeper in the negative territory today. Let's hear more from Chimezie Obiwagu.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Midweek trading closed in the red with the all-share index down by 0.06%. The insurance and the banking sectors posted the largest declines. The loss by Zenith Bank and GT Bank contributed majorly to the drop in the general index. Market breadth was negative. 12 stocks posted gains led by CNI Leasing, while 35 posted declines led by Japol Oil. The transaction volume and value came down from Tuesday's close. A total of 372.2 million shares valued at 3.17 billion naira in 3,800 deals were traded. Now, a deficit of confidence, in spite of the positive outlook given, continues to be a cause for concern. But over the timeline, analysts believe the market will be okay. And that was the Stock Market Report. I'm Chimezie Obiwagu.
Thanks a lot, Chimezie. European markets have ended today's session higher, but it's a different story for Wall Street and Asian markets. Let's check out the figures for today. Thanks for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawadu. It's back to you, Joma.
You First. First Bank.
Thanks, Anne. Still ahead on the news at 10, defending champions Germany crash out of the group stage of the World Cup for the first time since 1938 after losing 2-0 to South Korea. That's on Sports News. Do join us again.